Since the day they rescued Chancellor Palpatine from Count Dooku's hands, Anakin Skywalker felt that something had changed. The turning point came when Palpatine, with a deep and ominous voice, ordered, "Kill him now!" But Dooku, unlike the silent version many saw in the movie, reacted, "Why? Why are you betraying me? I called you master. I served your plan. You can't discard me like this." Dooku shouted, eyes wide. Anakin hesitated. "Chancellor, what is he talking about?" But upon hearing the scream, "He's a living threat. Finish him," Anakin gave in and made the Count's head roll across the floor with both sabers. From that moment on, Palpatine and Anakin grew closer than ever. Anakin had questioned him about the Count's final words. Palpatine said it was a lie and that the enemy would say anything before being defeated by the Chosen One. Even so, he asked for secrecy about the incident. Anakin was somewhat confused but chose to remain silent for now, since the Chancellor had proven to be a great friend before. In the following days, Anakin began to visit the Chancellor frequently. Their conversations went beyond politics and war. They talked about the fear of death, the burden of being the Chosen One, and the terrible visions Anakin had about Padme. "They don't trust me," Anakin once said, eyes lowered. Palpatine replied, "Because they fear your power. The Jedi Council only understands control, not true freedom." Anakin grew uneasy. "What if I lose Padme?" The Chancellor looked at him intently. "The dark side is a path to many powers that some consider unnatural, but it can protect those loved by its master." Words like these struck Anakin's deepest wounds. Despite the growing trust, something deep in Anakin's mind whispered that Palpatine was hiding more than he said. Dooku's final words haunted him. The look of betrayal, the shock of being discarded. That was not how the Jedi acted. Not even the Sith should act with such coldness. Driven by this unease, Anakin decided to confront Palpatine in his quarters, certain the truth would come to light. In the silent night of the Senate Tower, Anakin entered quietly. "I need to know who you really are." Palpatine slowly raised his head, as if he had been expecting the question. "You already know who I am, Anakin. You just don't want to admit it," the Chancellor said calmly. Anakin ignited his saber. "So it's true. You're the Sith Lord we've been looking for." Palpatine didn't back down. "I am Darth Sidious, and you came to me because you know you need answers. And power." Anakin stepped forward with his saber raised. "You made me kill Dooku without honor. How could you?" Palpatine gave a slight smile. "Because he failed, and because you needed to taste the weight of choice. That was enough." Anakin leapt to attack, and the mask of the politician fell completely. Palpatine pulled his hidden saber with the Force, and the red blade gleamed. With brutal, circular movements, he lunged at Anakin in a sequence of deadly blows. From above, below, left, right, a dance of death. Anakin blocked as best he could, stepping back with each move. His muscles trembled under the pressure. For the first time, he truly felt inferior in combat. Like when he lost to Dooku. "You have no idea the power I hide, boy," Palpatine roared, spinning in the air like a dark predator. The clash reached its peak when Palpatine unleashed Force lightning, expecting to see Anakin thrown against the wall. But the unexpected happened. Anakin extended his arms and absorbed part of the energy with his saber. "You can resist?" said Palpatine, impressed for a moment, but he quickly resumed his attack with even greater fury. "You are still nothing. I am unlimited power." The Sith's screams echoed through the empty hall, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. The Sith hurled Anakin against the walls with the Force. Then he fired short bursts of lightning that Anakin could barely dodge. Anakin began to kneel under the crushing weight of Sidious's power. His mind was a whirlwind of doubt, pain, and fear, and most dangerous of all, desire. Palpatine sensed this, and his rage gave way to manipulation. He stopped attacking, breathing deeply. "My young Anakin, I'm not trying to kill you. I'm trying to help you." His voice now was soft, almost fatherly. "You're torn, but that's because no one ever showed you both sides. I can do that." Confused, with the saber still trembling in his hands, Anakin looked up. Then why fight? Why test me? The Chancellor smiled. Because you need to see with your own eyes how weak the Jedi path is. With a subtle hand gesture, he took Anakin's saber with the Force and held it suspended in the air. Now you're unarmed, and yet I didn't kill you. Know why? Because you're special. You're the chosen one, the one who can bring balance to the Force. The Chancellor said everything he knew would provoke Anakin at his core. How can a Sith speak of balance? Anakin asked, eyes fixed. The dark side only brought destruction, he said. Palpatine approached slowly. Destruction only for those who resist change. There are truths within the Sith that the Jedi forbid even mentioning. They fear what you could become if you knew everything. Anakin was breathing with difficulty. You want me at your side, but you're an enemy. Palpatine corrected him. I'm just a piece, and you can decide what the board will be. In the silence, Palpatine turned to a hidden panel in the wall. Come, promise me you won't try to run or attack. If you do that, I'll show you what few have seen. Real knowledge, ancient powers, the chance to save Padme and change the fate of the entire galaxy. Anakin stood still for a few seconds. The tension in the air was sharp. A Jedi would have said no. A Sith would have said yes. But Anakin Skywalker was becoming undecided between the two. The hidden passage beneath the Chancellor's tower revealed a structure hard to believe. A Sith sanctuary. On the black stone walls, inscriptions in forbidden language pulsed softly, as if they were still alive. Anakin was guided by Palpatine to the center of the sanctuary, where several holocrons floated over pedestals and sinister artifacts rested covered by cloths. These are the forgotten records of the galaxy. Anakin, whispered Palpatine. Truths the Jedi hid from you and from the entire galaxy. The young Jedi, even uneasy, was taken by a strange curiosity. Anakin began to hear recorded voices of ancient Sith lords who spoke of balance, pain, power, and redemption. Among the messages, there were tales about Jedi who questioned the Council and got lost, but also about Sith who sought to control chaos to bring stability. The Chancellor skillfully manipulated each revelation, dosing the information according to Anakin's vulnerability. See, we are not so different, said Palpatine. The dark side is not corruption. It is freedom. And Anakin, unstable, absorbed that as an uncomfortable truth. The next morning, Coruscant's media announced throughout the Senate. Separatists tried to assassinate Chancellor Palpatine. Anakin Skywalker saved him. Scenes of explosion, smoke, and chaos illustrated the report. Many senators sent messages of support. The people exalted Anakin as a hero, while the Jedi Council remained cautiously silent. Anakin avoided detailing what had happened in the tower, and Palpatine masked the truth with an explosion caused by himself. What remained in the office was only destruction. No apparent clue of the brutal fight from the night before. Mace Windu, suspicious, went to the explosion site to inspect. The smoking wreckage, the scarred walls, and the shattered floor suggested a high-powered detonation. Something doesn't make sense, murmured Windu as he walked through the debris. The Force is disturbed. He didn't see traces of sabers or Sith energy, but he felt a recent presence, dark, latent. Nothing could be proven, and yet something whispered deep within his consciousness. A secret was hidden there. He questioned guards and staff but discovered only that the Chancellor had sent most of them home. Anakin didn't bring him many new details either. He only said that he had been invited by the Chancellor for a conversation and, when he arrived, felt that danger was extremely close. So he grabbed the Chancellor and got him out of those chambers. No body was found. No proof beyond the suspicions. A few days later, Anakin was diving deeper and deeper into Palpatine's lessons. He was beginning to master secrets of the dark side that had never been taught by the Jedi Order. His eyes, still steady, hadn't turned yellow, but his mind wavered between doubt and fascination. Padme, now visibly pregnant, saw her husband becoming more and more absent. Anakin, you can't keep going on like this. They need you. I need you, she said sadly. But Anakin said little, distracted by visions and promises of power to save her life. Palpatine, sneaky, claimed he had reduced Anakin's nightmares with Sith techniques. She is safe, for now. But to truly protect her, you must be reborn, my young one. The proposal was clear. To reach his full potential, Anakin would have to abandon the chains of the Jedi Order. Earn your Sith name and leave fear behind, whispered the Chancellor. But Anakin hesitated. A part of him still clung to who he was, to what he believed. And that part made him return to Padme, seeking one last piece of advice. The reunion was silent, intense. Padme held his hand with tenderness, but firmly. Talk to Obi-Wan. He raised you, guided you, and protected you. Do you still trust him? Anakin looked away, conflicted. You need to tell the truth, Anakin. To everyone. The truth is the only path to the balance you seek so much. Padme didn't know the details, but she felt something bigger was at stake. Promise you'll be honest with them. Promise you'll fight with light, not with shadows. The day passed, and Anakin continued to think on the balcony of his property on Coruscant. He watched Padme sleeping and reinforced even more that everything he was doing was for her sake. His wife's words had touched him deeply, just as much as the Chancellor's words. But perhaps even more, Obi-Wan Kenobi had returned from Utapau, where he had defeated General Grievous, ending a crucial threat in the Clone Wars. But peace was not what awaited him. Skyealker, his former apprentice, Obi-Wan confronted him at the Jedi Temple. Both stared at each other in silence, until Obi-Wan broke the moment. Anakin, we need to talk. Grievous is dead. The war is ending. Now is the time for truth. Anakin, initially hesitant, looked away. It's not that simple, Master. Obi-Wan noticed the hesitation in his former Padawan and approached cautiously. You're different, Anakin. There's something inside you, something dark. The Council feels it, and so do I. For a moment, Anakin remained silent, battling his conscience. His eyes moved restlessly, and then he finally murmured, The Chancellor, he's the Sith we've been looking for. Obi-Wan flinched. Palpatine? The confirmation came in a firm whisper. He is Darth Sidious. He told me everything and also taught me the things he knows. Master, he can teach me how to save Padme. Obi-Wan took a step back, shocked. Anakin, are you sure about this? Why didn't you tell the other masters until now? You need to help me report this to the Council. You don't understand, Anakin exclaimed, his voice trembling. He showed me things, ways to stop death, to keep Padme alive. Obi-Wan raised his voice firmly. It doesn't matter what he showed you. He's manipulating you. A Sith doesn't offer knowledge. He poisons it with promises and fear. Anakin clenched his fists. And what did the Jedi give me? Orders, doubts, distrust. Obi-Wan took a deep breath, trying to control the situation. We have to report this together, Anakin. The Council needs to know. Palpatine must be arrested. Anakin's expression hardened. You want to arrest him? He's the only one who can help me. He's the only one who did help me. Obi-Wan stepped closer, trying to calm Anakin's growing anger. He's dangerous. If you stay with him, you'll fall completely. I can already feel that the Force is unstable in you. Anakin raised his voice and stepped forward, putting his hand on his saber. Maybe falling is the only way to save the one I love. Obi-Wan also drew his saber. Then you force me to do this. You're under arrest, Anakin. Don't make me use force. You're not completely lost yet. Anakin's blade ignited, and he said, If you stand against me, you're my enemy. The sound of lightsabers filled the hall. The duel between the two began, full of fast movements and precise strikes. Anakin fought with a fury and strength never seen before. His power in the Force seemed to expand with every blow. Obi-Wan, though still agile and focused, struggled to keep up with the intensity of his former apprentice. Anakin channeled his rage, turning it into energy. Every movement was more ruthless, every strike more aggressive. Obi-Wan retreated, trying to disarm him, trying to save him. But Anakin didn't want to be saved. He wanted to win. He wanted to destroy everything that stood in the way of his new path. He needed to protect the Chancellor. Padme was so close to giving birth. So little was left. Anakin couldn't let anything interfere now. Not even his master. The Force seemed to lean toward Anakin. He dominated the fight, as if in communion with a new, destructive power. Obi-Wan, with his experience and calm, held the defense, but found no openings. A powerful shove threw Obi-Wan against a wall. He got up, staggering, but it was too late. Anakin charged forward with impressive speed and pierced his master's chest with the saber. Obi-Wan fell to his knees. "You were my brother, Anakin," were his last words before collapsing lifeless to the ground. Silence took over the hall. Anakin stood still, breathing heavily. His eyes were misty. He looked at Obi-Wan's body, pain replacing rage. "What have I done?" he murmured in shock. The victory felt empty. He had managed to stop someone who tried to arrest him, but at the cost of someone who loved him like a brother. The lightsaber fell from his hand. The red glow of the sunrise invaded the chamber, like an omen of what was to come. In that moment, Anakin felt more lost than ever. But he also felt, even if distorted, that he had done what needed to be done. Just moments before Obi-Wan's death, elsewhere in the city, Mace Windu was exploring the hidden corridors of Chancellor Palpatine's office. The Jedi Master, still suspicious, had decided to investigate the whole explosion case again, and then came the moment he discovered a secret entrance behind a bookshelf. Now he was walking through the same place Anakin had discovered. Advancing through the shadows, he felt the presence of the dark side like a suffocating fog. With each step, the confirmation grew inside him. "The Council must know this immediately," he murmured, determined. But as he opened the next door, there was Palpatine, standing calm, as if waiting for him. "You took your time, Master Windu." Mace Windu narrowed his eyes, activating his lightsaber. "The game is over, Chancellor. Now I know your true identity." Palpatine smiled, like someone hearing a child speak with bravery. "And now, what will you do with that truth, Master Jedi?" The atmosphere between the two turned electric. The tension was dense. Neither of them backed down. Mace knew that this confrontation would be final. Palpatine, on the other hand, seemed to enjoy the moment. Both held a firm posture. "Don't pretend to be surprised," said Windu. "You know this day would come." Palpatine simply responded with an enigmatic look. The sound of ignited sabers echoed through the dark corridors of the hideout. Mace Windu advanced with disciplined fury, his purple lightsaber slicing the air with deadly precision. Palpatine responded with serpentine movements, the red saber vibrating with the power of the dark side. The blades clashed with force, sparking at every impact. The fight wasn't just physical. It was a duel of wills, of convictions and opposing worldviews. Both knew this battle would decide the galaxy's future. Mace used Vapad like an absolute master, the seventh Jedi combat style, created for total efficiency. He channeled the enemy's rage and sent it back against the Sith himself. With every strike, Windu absorbed Sidious's darkness and converted it into controlled power. Force lightning shot from the Chancellor's hands, but Mace blocked it with his saber, redirecting the energy. Sidious began to retreat, his face slowly contorting and disfiguring. The balance tilted in the Jedi's favor. The Sith Lord, for the first time in years, seemed cornered. But then, something happened. Mace hesitated. A crack split his concentration like an invisible blade. The death of Obi-Wan Kenobi echoed through the Force like a muffled scream. He felt the loss, the rupture, the chaos. For a brief second, his guard dropped. Palpatine, hunched and gasping, seized the moment. "Mercy! Please!" he groaned with the voice of a dying old man. But it was a trap. In a flash of fury, he launched his Force lightning at full power. Mace was hit directly and hurled against the stone walls. His body crashed violently and fell motionless among the debris. Silence hovered for a moment. Palpatine walked slowly toward him, watching with empty eyes. "Fool!" he whispered. "You thought you could defeat me." The Sith believed he had killed him. But as he walked away, Windu, despite the burns and fractured bones, remained conscious. He lowered his presence in the Force, feigned death, and watched in silence. It was then that the door burst open, and Anakin Skywalker entered in a panic, covered in dust, sweat, and guilt. "Chancellor!" shouted Anakin, panting. Palpatine turned with a faint smile, still deformed by his own lightning. "You arrived just in time, my young friend." Anakin dropped to his knees, eyes full of despair. I killed Obi-Wan. He wanted to arrest you. He didn't understand." Palpatine approached, kneeling before the young man. "You did what was necessary. You overcame your weakness. Now you are ready for your true destiny." Anakin looked at him with teary eyes. "What have I become?" Palpatine lifted him by the arm. "You have become stronger than any Jedi before you. With me, you will learn to save those you love. Together, we will restore order to the galaxy." Anakin closed his eyes. "Now I understand what you meant about being reborn as something new. I am no longer Anakin Skywalker, am I?" The Sith nodded. "No. From now on, you shall be known as Darth Vader." A heavy pause filled the room. "Tell me, my apprentice, will you serve the empire we are about to create?" The answer came firm, like a promise sealed in pain. "Yes, my master." Mace Windu, wounded, had heard everything. His half-closed eyes barely hid the horror. Anakin's betrayal, the rise of Vader, the birth of the Empire. Everything was unfolding before him. Silently, he moved his hand to his waist, activating a small Jedi holocron hidden in his robe. He knew he couldn't face them again in this state, but he could warn. He could alert the ones left. Even if victory was impossible, the truth had to survive. The galaxy had to know. The conversation between Palpatine and Vader continued. "The Jedi are traitors, all of them. They must be wiped out." Anakin, now more resolute, nodded. "They never accepted me. They never trusted me." Palpatine smiled. "That is why you will destroy the Jedi Temple. You'll take the clones with you. Leave no survivors. We'll activate Order 66, and every Jedi will be attacked from behind across the galaxy." Vader clenched his fists, but did not hesitate. "They will pay for turning their backs on me." The decision had been made. The machine of destruction had been set in motion. Taking advantage of a moment of distraction, Windu dragged himself to a hidden panel in the back of the room. Using his last remnants of energy now that he was away from the two Sith, he connected to the Jedi Temple holocron network. His words were filled with urgency. "This is Master Mace Windu. Palpatine is Darth Sidious. Anakin has fallen to the dark side. The Council is compromised. The Order is under attack. Anakin and Palpatine are enemies. They are Sith. The clones have an order that will make them rebel against the Jedi. Do not let them." The message was interrupted when Mace felt his body lifted by the Force. He knew he had been spotted and captured. Then, in his final act, he sent the message to all sectors of the galaxy. That was his last act before his death. Mace Windu's message echoed across the far reaches of the galaxy before Palpatine could give the fatal order. Yoda, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Plo Koon, and many others received the warning in time. The truth came to light. The Chancellor was the Sith Lord manipulating both sides of the war. The Masters began to gather, aware that the only way to prevent the total fall of the Republic was to expose Sidious to the Senate and destroy the Sith once and for all. Meanwhile, Padme Amidala, already in the final stages of pregnancy, received Obi-Wan in her apartment. He revealed that Anakin now answered to the name Darth Vader, and that Palpatine had seduced him with promises of power. The shock was devastating, but Padme kept her composure. She called an emergency meeting with the other senators. The alliance against Palpatine was silently forming within the Senate itself. With the support of Jedi Masters who had survived, Padme made a bold statement. "Democracy has been manipulated by a tyrant." The Senate reacted. Palpatine was officially deposed. When Sidious learned of the decision, he fled to a hidden base on Mustafar, taking Anakin with him. There, he gathered the remaining separatists and plotted his revenge against the Jedi and the Senate. Knowing his position was weakened, he ordered Vader to eliminate Padme, fearing that the emotional bond would make him hesitate. She weakens you. She betrayed you. Palpatine saw the senator as both a political and emotional threat. Anakin resisted, but the hate planted in his heart began to grow. When he learned that Padme was hiding under Jedi protection, his inner conflict became unbearable. Yoda and the remaining masters knew they could not reach Palpatine with brute force. They were also deeply saddened by the deaths of Obi-Wan and Mace Windu. They then planned to use Padme as bait, something dangerous but necessary. With her consent, and above all, she did it so Anakin could be captured and brought back to himself. They forged a rumor that Padme had already given birth to the twins and had fled to her home in Naboo. It was certain that Vader would come. When his ship landed, Padme was at the center of the old royal hangar holding 2 newborns in her arms, surrounded by Jedi hidden in the shadows. Palpatine, impatient and ruthless, accompanied his apprentice, ready to personally destroy the woman who, in his view, delayed the rise of the new empire. But something changed. When Vader saw Padme holding the 2 children, his rage faltered. He lowered the saber. "Anakin, is it still you in there?" she asked in a low voice. Palpatine, sensing weakness, advanced in fury. "Your love makes you weak," and he hurled a Force lightning bolt at Padme. That was the trigger. Vader spun and, in a fit of hatred and despair, grabbed Palpatine by the neck with the Force. "You dare raise your hands against Padme?" The old Sith struggled, but Anakin's power grew. "She was all I had left, and now I see there are 2 children, too. This is something completely different from what I imagined." And then, without hesitation, Vader strangled his master until the last breath escaped. Padme fell to her knees in shock. The man before her was no longer the boy from Tatooine. He was a trembling, wounded, and empty shadow. One by one, each master revealed themselves, with Yoda at the center. Vader turned, his eyes red with anger. "They want to take my children," he shouted. "Anakin, it's not too late yet," said Padme, but it was. The saber was raised, and the duel began. Masters against the last Sith, in the place where everything began, Naboo, stage of tragedy and possible rebirth. The duel was brutal. Flames sparked by the battle ignited the surroundings. Yoda faced Anakin, taking most of the blows from the crazed Sith, giving time for Plo Koon and the other masters to deal with Vader. Padme screamed in despair, "Anakin, please!" But the man who loved her was being lost with each strike. A precise blow severed Ki-Adi-Mundi's head. At the same time, Plo Koon used the Force to hurl objects at Anakin and slow him down so they could get Padme out. But the Sith was so deranged he threw his saber and pierced Plo Koon's mask, slicing his throat. Finally, Yoda found the opening he needed and disarmed the enemy by cutting off both his legs. Vader fell, struggling to keep moving. Then the Sith only whispered as he looked at Padme being carried away into the distance. "I destroyed everything." For a moment, Anakin returned. He reached out to touch her face, but she was too far away and he knew he had gone too far. Anakin saw that Master Yoda would not attack him again, but he couldn't face Padme after what he had shown her, after letting her see the worst of him, after having killed so many masters, especially Obi-Wan. So Anakin used the Force to bring down the ceiling and upper structure of the castle above him. Yoda had only enough time to dodge the rubble crashing down on Anakin one after another. And so the legend ended. The Chosen One failed in his path, but found redemption in the final moment. The Jedi Order survived, not as before, but with renewed wisdom. The dark side was defeated. Padme heard from Master Yoda that Anakin regretted everything in the end and chose to end it himself. The children kept growing. The future of the galaxy now rested in the hands of the Chosen One's children, born of the light, forged in war, destined to bring peace where once there was only darkness.